What's happening, YouTube? Welcome to the Mr. Winslow channel. I am Mr. Winslow, your host, and today we're going to be discussing 9/11 10 years later. 9/11 taught us three very important things. It taught us that we are not invulnerable. It taught us that we have enemies at large. And finally, it taught us that we must take a serious attitude when it comes to security. It's so sad when our enemy shows us just how unsafe we really are. Such demonstrations are terrifying and they are also very tragic. A great deal of blood is shed and life lost when these demonstrations occur. What can help in preventing another 9/11, Mr. Winslow? After all, the United States is no stranger to terror. Well, number one, we must realize that the United States has a history with terrorism. We saw this when the British tried to invade America in the 1700s. We saw this with the Mexican army in the 1800s, and we saw this again with the Japanese in the 1900s. Now, what are the top three preventive things, the preventive measures that can be used to keep terrorism away from U.S. soil? What can we use to stem the tide against terrorism? Number one, securing our borders is job one. Securing our borders is job one. This goes without saying, YouTube community. It makes no sense for someone to have the best Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps, as well as Coast Guard, the world has ever seen, but we leave our back doors open for any and everybody to come into America. This makes no sense whatsoever. It's almost like having a prize fighter in the ring, but every time he goes out there to fight, instead of you getting ready to nourish him, instead of you getting ready to towel him off, instead of you getting ready to say, well, okay, we're still in there for you, we're still in your corner, we're still your allies, instead of you doing that, it's like, well, you know what? His corner is going to leave, and another corner who knows nothing about what he's doing out there is going to come in and try to support him. This simply will not do. We must be in the business of securing our borders. Period. That's number one. Number two, U.S. companies should be in the business of employing U.S. citizens. Wow, I'll say that again. U.S. companies should be in the business of employing U.S. citizens. You know, YouTube community, I should get a Nobel Prize just for uttering those words. Imagine that. U.S. companies in the business of employing U.S. citizens. This goes without saying. If I have a business in the U.S., I should be about hiring people in the U.S. I shouldn't take my U.S. founded company and hire people from another country just to cut a dollar or just to cut the costs. No, I should not do that at all. If I am an American company, I should make it my business, my prerogative to hire U.S. citizens. This goes without saying. This is going to help us stem the tide against terror. And number three, we should have zero tolerance when it comes to domestic and foreign terrorism. Yes, zero tolerance means that we will not tolerate, we will not condone, and we will certainly not look for your survival if you are a terrorist on American soil or if you are a terrorist on foreign soil trying to destroy American citizens. Zero tolerance. Now, I know that there are some people out there that are going to say, well, you know what, Mr. Winslow, you sound like you're going to go after these people. You sound like you're going to kill them. You sound like you're going to get revenge on them for what they did in 9/11. And we certainly can't tolerate that. America is a kinder, gentler America. We should just turn the other cheek and we should just let bygones be bygones and let them do us any kind of way and nothing happen. Well, I think you know what mindset I have towards people that think that way. Number one, if a terrorist has the resolve to destroy as many American citizens as he can or she can, then that person must be neutralized. The definition for neutralized means stopped or killed without delay. This should be something that we exercise. This is going to show the world that terrorism will not be tolerated, period. That's job 3. In closing, YouTube community, I want you to know that I was a school teacher when 9/11 occurred. And yes, it really pained me to see all of those little boys and girls running, some of them crying their eyes out to the main office so their parents could pick them up. They didn't know what to do, they didn't know where to go. That was a very terrifying thing to see. Now, I know the people that were at Ground Zero in New York have even more horrendous stories to tell, and my heart goes out to those people. But nonetheless, we are a nation that takes care and provides for our own. We should do that now more than anything else. On this 10-year anniversary of 9/11, we are reminded of the loss of life. We are reminded of the loss of property. We are reminded of the loss of our very minds. But nonetheless, we must regain that spirit to survive. We must regain that spirit that says, I will look after my fellow American. I will love my fellow American, and I will see to it that nothing harms him. I will see to it and make it my business that any terrorist that tries to move against him or me or any other person who is an American citizen just like me, no, we will put our heads together and put an end to this terrorist. Whether this terrorist be foreign or domestic, we will see to your total end. End translates to your ultimate destruction. So, yes, we will see to that. So, from the Mr. Winslaw offices and to those people who were involved in 9/11, God bless.